Hello today. Welcome to another Hatz Lunch and Learn on AI. We'll get started here in a few minutes. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask away. You can put it in chat if you need to, if you don't have a chance to actually talk. But if you do have microphone control or need it, let us know and we can add that to you so you can ask questions without having to chat. Uh, but hopefully, you guys have used it some, and we're going to give couple more minutes for some others to join, and then we may just go ahead and get started. Okay. One quick question: can you see my screen? I want to make sure that sharing's turned on.
Yes, we can.
Perfect. I'll tell you what. Look, I'm recording this anyway, so why don't we go ahead and we're going to get started here and sort of go. If you do have questions, again, just reach out. Today's lesson and what we're going to be talking about mainly is going to be apps, workflows, and agents. That doesn't mean that we can't veer off topic a little bit and answer any questions that you might have in chat or using hats. We'll also talk a little bit about some features that were introduced last week when it comes to compliance logs and the admin center type things. We got a lot to go over, but we also are going to have a plenty of time to get to your questions and actually do some labs. So the first thing I want to start with is I want to start with a little bit of slides to talk about what an agent, an app, and a workflow is, and then we're going to actually do it. So when we're talking about agents, apps, and workflows, last week we talked about the chat section of Hats. This week we're moving on to the workshop section. And this section really is less about asking AI questions and it's more about creating. We're creating things, whether that's automations, agents, and workflows. I'm going to tell you what each one of those is different. So, an agent, think of this as your ongoing helper. It's kind of like, I'm a nerd. I love Star Wars. So I think of it, it's kind of like R2D2. He's riding shotgun with me. Um, the thing is, this agent, it doesn't forget the conversation. It's very conversational. And you can hand it tools, you can hand it integrations that it's going to learn, you can hand it documents, you can even use other apps or workflows within your agent. So instead of like building 10 different apps that can only do one thing, you can build one agent to help you with all your questions. So a great one is like asking HR questions. So you can build an HR agent, feed it that handbook, and then you can just share it with your people, and they can ask that agent questions instead of asking you those questions. Especially as small business doesn't always have HR, so instead of saying read the handbook, you can say use the agent, and it'll answer the questions that you have. Now, I know that Megan has created an agent for HR, and I'd say, Megan, as far as that agent goes, is there anything you would add when you go to build an agent that was different for you?
Basically, it was very simple. All I had to do was upload our company handbook into it. It took me 2 minutes. And now, when I have any questions like what holidays do we have off? Can I wear a tank top to work? What's our PTO policy? It just shoots right back with an answer.
Awesome. So that's like an easy use case scenario. Other places that I might have used agents is for what I like to call SMEs. Those are subject matter experts. So for us as an IT company, that includes, things like servers and networking and Microsoft 365. So we can create agents that are centered around those type of troubleshooting uh, goals. And we can feed in, I want you to go to Microsoft Learn to learn this. I want you to go to HP documentation to learn this, so that it's giving us instead of doing either a Google search or trying to rack our brains and just clicking things and trying to figure something out. It gives us a place to start when something gets really technical and we need to know a quick answer. So that's an example for me. Every one of you guys are going to have something that you are dealing with that's going to be different than me. But it's a way a lot of times that somebody who's an expert in something can start writing things that they know and tools and maybe FAQs or places they go to research things, put it in that agent, and they can share it with your whole office so that you're sharing that knowledge and you're sort of making those answers come up more quickly. Whether that is, you know, manufacturer, whether that's veterinary, whether that's dental, whatever that is, you guys are going to have much more knowledge than I am about it. I can help you set up those agents and tell you, hey, here's my idea on how you do it. But you guys going in and saying, oh, that makes sense is where we want to be. So if you do have questions on what is an agent, how do I build this? Feel free to ask that later on when we get into the lab, because having those type of questions is really going to help us. Not to say that I don't have some ideas if nobody has any questions, but it's something I want you to start thinking of. Think of an agent as conversational, almost a robot that you're going to have that can help you and help you share your knowledge with others. Now, an app I want you to think of, it's like ordering through a fast food drive-through, okay? You order one thing, you get one thing, and you're done, okay? With AI, when we do this, there's no memory of our last order. There's no steps in between. It's got a task. It does the task the same way every time. Just like McDonald's scales its franchise, it's going to get the same. The whole purpose of an app is for scaling and standardization so that you get the same thing you want every time. If you order a Big Mac, you don't want a Whopper, okay? You wanted a Big Mac. So, if you want the same thing, you didn't want a double quarter pounder with cheese if you ordered a fillet of fish, right? Your app is about standardizing that, taking one specific action and getting that every single time. And now a workflow, I want to, this would be great for people who are in manufacturing. Think of it as it's an assembly line. Step one feeds into step two, into step three, and so on. A workflow can be incredibly complicated to something that's you do actually simply, but in your mind you think, oh, I need to just send this one thing. Like say, I need to send an email, but it's, oh, I got to research this email. I'm going to go here to research. I'm going to set it to draft it for me, and then I need to send it. So there's a few pieces that you have to do. Or I want to send an email here, but I also want to send it to an Excel spreadsheet here that says that I sent it. Lots of things depending on the complexity of your task that a workflow does. So how I organized those was easy to hard. Okay. Not that any of them are hard, but when you start getting into workflows, there's a lot of things you have to play with. So really, bottom line, I talked a lot there, is it's one task, build an app. If it's a process with steps, build a workflow. If it's ongoing help across a bunch of topics and you're just going to be asking it questions over and over again, that's an agent. And that's exactly what we're going to do in the lab. I want to show one more side on this. And this is just sort of like an infographic type thing to kind of help know the difference about what is an agent, what can an app do, what can a workflow do. If this is something that you kind of want to have in your brain, or you want to look at or print out, if you'll let me know, I can get this to you. But I think the more you start using it, it starts making sense. I'd open this up before I get into the lab. If there's any questions that you have so far, I know I went pretty fast because explanation versus actually doing it is completely different. But are there any questions that anybody has as of right now, or do you just want to see what it looks like?
No questions in the Q&A yet.
Okay, so let's just go ahead and I'm going to share a different screen. Move this over. Stop sharing that, and we're going to get into Hatz. And today I'm using my Hatz account. So you may see some random things in here, but I'm not using the demo because I want to look at some of the admin stuff and compliance logs, and that in that case I need to be in mine because I don't want to give our demo account admin access, basically. So 1 second here. I'm just going to share this screen. Megan, if you can let me know when that's available and you can see it.
It's there.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Let me move one thing out of the way so it doesn't get in my way. Y'all can't see it anyway, but I can, and it annoys me greatly. Okay, so when you get into Hatz, hopefully y'all have got into it and played. You know that this is chat. This is where you go and ask AI questions. It's where you spend 80 to 90% of your time, probably closer to 90, 95, to be honest. But today, and if y'all have questions on this, 100% I'll go back to it. But today we're exploring the workshop. So we're going to click on workshop. And in the workshop, there's some things you can do. It has workshop, it has agents and other apps and workflows that's built into the community that other people have shared. And you can look through these. So you can look at what apps are available for me. You can browse by category, business, operations, finance, marketing, and see what other people have. And I do this every once in a while, probably not as much as I should, to see what's available. What would be great? Like there's an Excel guru here. Is this great? I don't know. But it'll tell you whether it was a member created or Hatz created. So it sort of shows you a little bit about what other people are doing. And you can look to see, do I want to look at that? Do I want to try it? There's social media stuff, all kinds of stuff that people are putting in here every day. Sometimes it's worth looking at just to see, what's different. They're always making tweaks to this. One thing I'd love to see from this is if they actually say, more like what's popular and how many people are actually using it. But so you got Hatz Official, like use case generator, AI encyclopedia, a lot of stuff like uh, different things that somebody did. You can see somebody like Batman here using Alfred, but it's something definitely worth exploring. But we're here today to create something new. And the first thing I want to start with is an agent. So let me get this agent up here. And there's multiple ways to create apps and agents. Now, an easy way, and I can't remember if I did this last week, an easy way is to go into workshop, click on agent, or click on new and add agent, and you can ask it. You can tell it, I need to get started. How can I help you today? You can say, help me write instructions, and it's going to work you through all kinds of things. And then all you got to do is click apply to instructions. It's super handy to start it here. I personally like actually doing it from the chat. And I know Jordan is out today, but he's created a prompt. I think he went over that last week, but let's just do this agent real quick. I created a prompt for it to show again, kind of like what I'm doing. Last week we talked about prompting, right? We used the crafted prompting framework and things like that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into chat. And one of the key things when we're in chat is to do the tools. So we can use the tools, and we're going to use the Hatz Workshop Assistant. This allows you to build agents, apps, and workflows without having to go in there and manually do it. You can just click here. I also want to select this as something that was newly added, this Hatz Docs. So instead of before, I used to have to put the URL for Hatz Docs and use Firecrawl. Now I don't. So if you're learning to do something, in Hatz specifically, using these two tools is incredibly helpful in making things fast. I will say, as you go to build, one thing that is annoying is sometimes it will say, I don't have access to that app. And you have to say, Yes, you do. Use the Hatz Workshop Assistant to do it. I don't know why it sometimes forgets it doesn't have it. Sometimes it forgets it, but sometimes you do have to remind it. So just something to remember as you go and you start building yourself. Now that I go back to my agent, I'm going to give it an agent name of Demo Business Help Desk. And I made mine pretty generic. It is better to make it not generic in your use case, but considering I have different people from different uh, or different segments of businesses, I thought I would just do it sort of more general. So here I say you're a helpful internal business assistant. You're going to help team members turn customer requests, employee questions, and business problems into clear next steps. Ask a short follow-up question when key information is missing. Give practical answers in plain English. When a request is needed action, again, look, I'm telling it what it needs to do. You don't have to do this. You don't have to be as in-depth as I have been. I like being in depth because you do get better answers when you are. If you take an extra 5 minutes prompting, you will save yourself possibly hours later, at least maybe, tens or 20s of half hours later, depending on how deep of a project you're going into. Um, I like to say keep responses short, useful, and easy to act on, and I give it a sample question. Sometimes it's good to give it a sample question and a sample answer so it knows. In this case, I just said a demo question. I've got my two tools turned on. I did select Claude Sonnet 5. That's I don't know if that was this week or last week that came in. This is the best. No, it's not the best, but it is the newest version of Sonnet that is still a reasonable price. Uh, ChatGPT, if you hadn't heard, last week released a whole bunch of new models. ChatGPT's version of Sonnet is called Luna. But if you wanted to use something like Fable or ChatGPT has something called Soul, those are the super expensive token models. You are free to do it. As much as I use AI, I try to use a model that's going to be really good, but not crazy expensive when it comes to tokens. And remember, uh, packages are all token based. So you want to make sure that you're getting what you need. Um, I don't need to build an agent on, say, Claude Fable because Claude Sonnet's going to do fine. In fact, this agent, I could probably find a really smaller agent that could do the work just as quickly or better by saying, okay, well, this is a research and analysis agent. And I can select one of the standard agents that's not that expensive. So if I mouse over them, it tells me how expensive. This DeepSeek is hardly anything. And although it's a Chinese one, I typically don't like. However, Kimmy 2 thinking is really pretty good. So maybe I switched to that. But for now, I do want to use Claude Sonnet 5, and let's go ahead and build that. So it's going to generate. Well, that's generating. I can ask if there's any questions about what's going on right now. All right.
No
Yes, go ahead.
questions yet.
Yeah. All right, awesome. Um, so it's going to say what's needed. Here's how I'd handle that request. It's kind of wants me to be more open. I'm not just going to say just build it already. Remember, I said sometimes it annoys you. So actually, you know what? Let's say this doesn't make sense. I'm going to say just use Hatz Workshop Assistant to build this. Don't worry about anything else. This is a demo. I just want it built. Sometimes you just got to tell AI what it needs done. And you could say that my prompting here wasn't good enough. I never told it to specifically handle to build it. So now it's like, oh, so whose fault? Is that AI's fault that it asked that? No, all I said was, um, all I gave it was this. What does it mean? There's no build an agent. I just said agent name. So again, my prompt, what I failed in my prompt. that happens sometimes. Could be that I was too big of in a hurry here and I didn't look at that close enough. That's something that happens a lot. Sometimes you tell it a whole bunch of stuff, but you actually never tell it to do something. And I always sometimes want to blame AI, but really the fault is with myself. So it built it and it says, okay, I can open it here and we can go and we can look at that agent and how it was built. Here it is. We can see, let me see if I can make this bigger. There we go. Yay. We can see, yeah, you can give your agent an email address and you can email the agent. Now, you do have to have a Hatz account for this, and only people in your tenant are going to be able to email your agent. But you could create an agent and have your employees and Hatz email the agent for questions instead of you. So I have not used that as a use case now, but I have heard people talk about it. There's the description. We can select a category if we want. I'm not going to. Change our description thing. And this one we might say a helpful business assistant. Change that a little bit. Hopefully I don't have a ton of misspelled words in it. Now here I talked about model. I don't want to give this sonnet. I want to give this something super probably cheap. So I'm going to change that research and analysis. I'm going to give it that Kimmy 2 thinking. Again, I'm trying to preserve tokens is what I'm trying to do here. You can give it personalization. I always personalize everything. It's all mine. I just find that I sometimes sometimes I just like listening to myself talk. But if you don't want that on there, be sure to turn off personalization. If your agent, you want to give it tools, you can. If you don't have to. In this case, because it's just a business help desk agent, I'm not going to give it any tools. I want it to just I just want it to answer questions. However, if I wanted to give it tools, I probably wouldn't do auto tool. I would probably say, you know what, you can Google search and you can use Perplexity. Are both good things. If you had, like Megan talked about, I talked about HR, if you had a handbook, you can add sources and add your source. And then in that case, if I had that source, I wouldn't give it any tools whatsoever. In this case, we'll give it, we're going to give it Perplexity and Google search. And then we say update agent, and there is our agent. We want to use it, we can go back to chat. We're going to select, let me go back to something not where I can see, although I should make it a little bit bigger for you guys. We can go back to select our model. We have my model. Now this one is my agents now, not my models. We can select view all. We got the demo here. If you want to pin it, you can. We can click that here. Now it goes, look, I'm a helpful internal business assistant. How can I help you today? And we can ask it a general question. Let's see, what can you help me do? And it's going to tell us what it can help you do. So I can help you research. I can help you analyze spreadsheets. Although I'll tell you something, it can't do this because I didn't give it those tools. So again, I would have to see this and say, oh, that's wrong. I need to give them some tools. There is a quick, I'm glad I looked at this. There's a quick thing that you guys can know as you're building agents, apps, and workflows. One thing to know is when you are building them manually and you go to select the tool, you can only select 3. But something that we have noticed, and Jordan actually found this out, if you're building it in this chat like we did, you can have it select up to 7. But you can't do that manually. You have to do it through the builder. I don't know what the difference is. It's kind of weird and funny, But there have been times where I'm like, oh, well, I want to make an edit. So I go through chat and I use the workshop builder and I say, add this, this, and this. So something handy to know as you start building. And that's pretty much the first demo of the agent. Um, before I move to the app, are there any questions? All right,
Still
then
no
I'm gonna.
questions.
That's okay. You don't have to ask questions. I just want to make sure that I'm being as clear as I can. I have been told a lot of times that I go too fast, and sometimes I go over people's heads as well. So if I am doing that, I apologize, but I want to make sure that I cover some things and give you ideas going forward. But I'm 100% okay with stepping back, uh, answering questions, and how I got to this point or how we're going. Um, so you're not going to hurt my feelings by saying, "Hey, this is too much," or "I don't understand what you're saying." But if you follow me, that's cool too. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do, again, today we're going to build an app. And again, I'm going to use, oh, oops, we'll start here. I'm using Sonnet for it. So my app name, where I'm going to create demo request. Let's see, let's change this just, no, not yet. Stop it. All right, let's change this. Create an app using, you know what, I'll do that again. I'm getting used to create an app using Hatz Workshop Assistant. And then I'm going to paste in my prompt there. And it is the app's name is demo request to action items. User input, we're going to paste a customer or employee request, review the request, gives me some inputs that I'll show you here in a minute, return this, use plain English, do not make, this is important when you're talking with AI. Do not make up facts. Do not hallucinate is another term you can use. Mark because Mark guesses as suggestions. So if it decides it's going to guess on something, you might say, hey, if you're just making something up or guess, make sure you mark it as a suggestion. One thing I've been doing lately is I've been saying, um, be confident in your answers before doing it. If your confidence doesn't reach some sort of milestone, please ask clarifying questions. That seems to be getting me a lot better when I'm building apps and codes and things like that. Then I gave it a demo input. Again, I'm going to select my tools. I'm going to this time, I'm just going to use the Hatz Workshop Assistant. And we're going to send it on. As it's generating, there's one thing to know when it comes to apps and workflows. This will create it for you, but it will not publish it for you. Once it's created it, they should give you a link like we did with the agent. We'll go into that and we have to tell it to publish and we need to check what the security is. And I'm going to show you how to do that. We can do this. Look, it tells us what tools using. We can see it's running the workshop. We only have the one. It tells us a little bit about what it's doing. Look, it's creating the variable of the request. Tells me it looks great. I'll set Donald. Like I told you, when it was done, it would give me a link. That's where we're going to go right now. But the thing is, if I just click this link, it's going to take me to the app. For some reason, when we're in the app, I can't edit it from the app. I actually have to go back to Workshop and click edit. So I want to show you what that looks like first. If it does it quickly and I don't get annoyed with it taking too long. Sometimes I'm impatient. So while it's doing that, we're going to go ahead. So like I said, to edit a lot of these, you do have to go to the workshop instead of just the app. Although this should take, okay, this takes us there. But see, there's no edit anywhere here. I can't edit it. It takes me to the app, but there's no edit. And if I were to click generate, it would say it wouldn't work. So I got to go to workshop. I've got to go to my items, and you're going to see I actually have a ton of items here. Um, but luckily, it put it here at the top. Demo, look, it's my app. Look, this one says my agent. I've got it set to private. I'm going to click edit. Now I can see what it looks like. Used to, you had to do all your apps and agents from something that looked like this. Although I was amazed with it, it was hard for some. It was hard for some people. It wasn't quite as intuitive as how it is now. So here I see it. Now I can see what are my share settings. Do I want it private? Do I want to share with my organization? We can set up in your organizations. I can help you different departments if you wanted. Let's say this one, I'm just going to put in testing. Everybody in the testing group can see it. I'm going to say save, continue. I'm going to close it. You can see that's once that green box goes away, I'm going to publish my app, publish app. It says app published successfully. Now I can refresh. All right, now I went ahead and created a sample output that says a new employee onboarding request. If y'all have something like this, you can feed it in there. So now I can copy and paste this. Obviously, the request you get may not be as clean and awesome as this. It's usually much messier. That's okay though. I'm going to paste that in here and I'm going to generate. And so it's going to prepare some stuff for me. Going to generate what I'd asked it to do. Action items, gave me the action items that it needs to be done. Any questions or certification, any questions or clarifications that I've got to do. This one was so neat, it made it hard. But if something's messy, this is where you can like, okay, now I understand what the customer or what my employee is asking when I wasn't before. So that there's all kinds of different things that apps can do. So this was just one that I sort of had. I'm trying to think if I have any other apps that would be worth sharing. I could do that one. Yeah, I have so many different things that helps me do it. You can kind of see these are the things that I've built. Talked about age. There's a workflow I built. Yeah, nothing that, let me see. That was kind of a fun thing. This app, it could show you. I created while trying to do LinkedIn, I created an app that generates a picture of me. So I can say blue suit, background is in my conference room, and I'm like giving an AI presentation. Super futuristic. And I can ask it to generate. And you can see this time I have up here in my LLM, I'm asking it Gemini 2.5 Flash, which is a picture. So it should generate an image of me in a blue suit and a white shirt giving an AI presentation. I look at that. It even decreased my weight. Man, it's got me looking good. Love it. So you can do some fun things with it just to have fun. In fact, I'm going to save this. I may play with this later. It's kind of funny. I love funny stuff. But yeah, so stuff like this is simple. You know, is there a lot of use case for in my case? Sure, I need to get better on LinkedIn. I'm trying to show, hey, this is what we can do. Let me know if you've got AI questions. I want to help you. Uh, any questions? I know that was kind of fast, but any questions on building an app or what an app can do?
None yet.
None yet. Okay. So the next thing that we can go, let's go back to chat. Again, I like using Claude Sonnet, but maybe this time we play with ChatGPT Luna. And we're going to do a workflow. So once again, I'm going to say build a workflow using the Hatz Workshop Assistant. And I'm going to copy the prompt over here. And let's see. Oh, you know what? I kept a copy. Oh, of course I did. I copied the wrong app thing last time. So, no, this is just making that. Okay, I see what's going on here. I got confused. Sorry, I did this a couple of days ago and I've slept since then. So we're doing that new employee request again, only this time we're going much more involved. So I'm going to name it involved. So we're going to say something to input. We're going to have it build that checklist that we did. This time we're also telling it to draft an email. So again, we're taking the app and we're adding steps to it. That's what a workflow does. It's that when you're thinking of a workflow or this is helpful. Charlie, do you have a question? Sorry, I just see the hand up. I can give microphone access if I need to as well. That's okay. So Scott, you asked an interesting question that I can sort of review here. Is how do I know which AI to use is based on general understanding? I know which AI to use because honestly, I use AI all the time and I teach people to use AI. So I'm researching AI constantly. Now I do have, let me see if I can find it or I can send it to you if you like. I do have a little infographic that has uh, the top three LLMs and what's better for each. So to give a quick review, Sonnet or Claude is best when you want to use uh, so when you want to code or you want to sound like a human. ChatGPT is best as a general AI. It's also much more creative than the other AIs. Google is the best at analyzing data, analyzing spreadsheets, analyzing PDFs, and comparing them. Okay. Google is also, it's Google Gemini. Okay. And Grok, which is, if you go with the fourth one, it's Elon Musk's AI. It's really good at short, witty things. The only thing that I have ever used Grok for is if I really need to vent and get something out, I don't always need to go to somebody else. I can go to Grok and it's completely and totally unhinged. So I would say when it comes to the AIs, knowing which one does best and what their future is going to be, think about who their owners are. Now, to answer your question, you can, if you are unsure, let's see if I can't just bring up another thing here. If you are unsure, and this is something I stopped using here lately because I'm getting better answers by knowing it, you can. Oh man, I think I might have accidentally turned it off here. Um, I wonder. So some of you, yeah, it looks like I turned it off. You can turn on something called auto LLM. In fact, why don't I need to make sure that I can turn that back on. So let me see if I can turn that on real quick so that you can see it. But there is a auto LM LLM. So let me see if I can go to my organization settings and turn on auto LLM policy. Now that may be a more to do that, I have to log out. But just know that where this chat is y'all play, there is something that says auto LLM, and it has excuse excuse me, it has light, performance, and turbo. When you use light, it's going to choose from your prompt what best can do your work that you're asking. It will choose the cheapest model. It'll use the one that uses the less tokens. If you use performance, it's going to use that mid-range model, depending. So it does use uh, Claude Sonnet a lot. It will use something called GLM. Sometimes it uses that Kimi 2 thinking. So it's going to use something that's not the cheapest token, but not the most expensive. And if it uses Turbo, it's going to use the most expensive thing, but it's going to get it done the fastest. Hopefully, that answers your question. And I need to make sure that next time I'll make sure that I have that turned on so that I can share that. I just turned it off recently. I didn't realize I turned the whole thing off. I thought I was just turning it off for me. That sometimes happens as you're an admin. You do things unintentionally that affects your entire everybody. So good thing to know, good thing to cover. Sometimes you got to own up to making mistakes, right? So let's see. What I'd like you to do with the workflow. I want you to create it. Look what I didn't do. I didn't select my workshop assistant. So I've got to go back in here and I got to say, my bad. I gave you the Hatz workshop assistant. You should be able to build that now. So now it's building that workshop, it's building that assistant, that workflow. Uh, you can see, look, it's calling the tools. This really is one of my favorite things that does over the other, if you were to buy direct from Claude or ChatGPT, is that this is actually showing you what it's doing. You can see, and sometimes you can stop it if it's making a mistake if you're watching. Not that I watch all the time, but sometimes I like to see what it's doing, how it's thinking. Um, and sometimes I do that for one, to support you guys better. Two, to get better at AI so that I know what it's asking itself, so that when I'm prompting and when I'm asking it to do things, that I give it better uh, better prompts, better instructions. It's very much, I've got a 9-year old. It's very much like uh, telling your 9-year old how to clean his room. If I can say clean your room, he may pick up something. He may pick up his things and throw it all into his closet. I have to be very. I want you to clean up your room. You're going to put any books you have on the shelf, your bookshelf. Anything that's your toys need to go in your toy bin. You're giving it. I'm giving him instructions so that I know that everything just doesn't go under the bed. Think of AI as very much that way. Here we go. We can open the workflow now.
We got a question from
Yes.
Charlie.
Yes.
He has a question about workflow. Can I access other systems like my management software and pull data into the workflow?
Oh, Charlie, that's a fantastic question. And it's a very nuanced question. What you're thinking of in AI, we have something called crawl, walk, and run. And I would say when it comes to hats, that's the method and that's what we want to go with. And your question is called sprint. Um, It is what we here at Real IT are doing right now. It's the next level, connecting actual software to it and using APIs to connect. Yes, you can. It is what we're doing. I will say that when you get to that level, it's much more complicated and you have to make sure that you're building something secure. We are developing a service in-house here to help with that, but it is much more complicated because that's when you're actually you're getting out of just building workflows. You're actually building systems. So an example, oh man, I'm trying to wonder if I should what I should show here. Um, an example would be there's something I'm working on now called that we're going to do in our central services department here that allows us and it connects different modules of our data like um, to our antivirus so that we can see, what's being hit to our backup stuff. So if there's an error, that we can go in, see those errors, and then AI can help us resolve it and even automate it. We've helped companies in like SAP, which is and they're also like their quoting where it can connect to that what we call API. That's where an API is how you get to that actual data you're talking about in your systems that connect to the API, and then it pulls it into a few different workflows like Excel so they can see it through spreadsheets. It also has a dashboard where it has um, widgets and things like that so they can see it. So, in a lot of cases, when you hear people talk AI that, oh, this is going to take jobs and things, there is an industry that might is a little bit scared right now, and you may have heard of SaaS industries where they build programs. These companies are a little bit afraid because people are able to connect to APIs and starting to build and vibe code their own sort of app. So it's a great question. I will say when you get to that level, it is much more involved. What Hats can help you do, it can help you connect to your 365 data so that you can help build better spreadsheets. You can build out Word documents. You got your email. But when you're talking about like your management software, you're talking about connecting to that management software API. But in your case, you could do, if you were able to do that, you could do some amazing things that you might not be able to do, or like you would know, like somebody comes in, they come in with a dog, and you may remember all the things that you've done in the past with that animal, right? But what AI would do is you can easily say, I've got an appointment here, and it can pull from your data every time you saw that dog in the notes and say, oh, it has a history of, in a much quicker and easier way. And you can start customizing plans that way. Whether, I don't know, what health plan, a dietary plan, whatever that is. But even if it's a reminder check that maybe you're sending to your customers, you can automate that where it says, okay, I want to send a postcard. Let's say it's a postcard. If you don't have email, you want to send a customized mail to the clients that have not seen you in a year. You could use AI to easily get that information, have it write the customer's name, and say, "Hey, we haven't seen Bubbles in a while. We haven't." And just wanted to check on you, make sure everything's okay. The last thing we have, and you can have it summarize the notes or the good things maybe from the last visit. So that's a great question, and that is where we're getting to, as hopefully as an industry. That question, I love that question because what you're thinking ahead, where am I going in the future? Because that, as you start dealing with AI, it's your imagination and what you want it to be is where you need to be. It's the question's no longer is can AI do this? The question is how am I going to set it up? Basically. So we got our workflow. Let's see if remember I said last time that in workshop we've got to close some things here. Let's go back to workshop, and I need to publish this. So let's do that real quick. Hopefully that answers your question, Charlie. It's a great question. I hope I gave it some justice. So now I want to, again, I'm going to save my workflow here. I'm just going to publish it.
Donald, we got
Preview it. Yes.
said I thought Hatz was a secure platform. I was trying to use it to identify the correct filter part numbers for several pieces of construction equipment, but Hatz told me I should not upload our login credentials for the CAD equipment application. If Hatz is secure, why shouldn't I provide those credentials?
Oh man, Derek, that's a great question. Again, Hatch is always going to notify you, hey, are you sure you want to do this? Hatch is a secure, it is a secure platform and you're good. But that is an example of why it's going to make you guess and think, oh yeah, this is something that is secure. It's just basically notifying you that, hey, this is kind of a security. This is a sort of a security question. Do you want to make sure that you want to do this? So it's got security first train of mind. So it's trained that way. But yes, Hats is secure. I don't remember if I shared this last time, but if you are unsure of Hats security, I can also say, let's see, where's it at here? The Trust Center. I'm going to put this link in chat. So this tells you a little bit more about the security. But yes, Hats is branded, is built based on security. And this tells you what it is about and how to go about, doing that. Um, so the workshop we would paste the same thing from last time in it. Um, let's do this real quick. Close that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to generate it. And this time it's going to give us similar information to what we did last time. But look, it's telling me what prompt 2 is, prompt 3, prompt 2, 3, and it's going to go through all of this, which ones it's using, because we can go in here and we can edit each one of these different prompts to use different things. So if I wanted an image, I can do an image prompt. If I want an analysis, I could do Gemini. If I want to sound like a human, I can use Claude. If I want something creative, I can use ChatGPT. So this is just going to go through all of this, telling it, oh, look, you want to see it, you can maximize it and see what it's telling you. Manager task, first day task. Like, see how from that app now, I'm getting much more detailed from my prompt. I'm telling it to do multiple things. And look, it's got my email here. One quick thing, I think I mentioned this last time. Hats cannot send email. Okay, that's a security thing, and I think it's a good thing. What it can do is it can put it in your drafts folder in your Outlook box. Okay, so you can look in drafts, see that email, and then is it good, and then click send. One other thing I want to do is in your work, I want to go back to workshop. You can click on run history. This is the big thing. And you can see, is it complete? Was there an error? And you can see an old one of what was run. This is when you're starting to troubleshoot um, workflows. This is where you go. Or if you have an automated workflow, you can go in the next day and you can check it here as well. Um, that is kind of what I wanted to go through with apps, workflows, and agents, and I'm running out of time. So I want to show one more thing before we leave because I said I was going to do it and I want to make sure I'm doing it. And that is on the compliance report. So let me share this real quick and then we're going to go into it. And I'm going to do it really, hopefully quickly as I can. Let me find this, stop sharing, share a different screen to go over this. So in compliance, Um, it's compliance logs. It's know who did what. So it has audit logs, so admin and security events. So that includes sign-ins, MFA, file downloads. We have something now called invocation logs. So this is usage details. It says who, when, what agent, and what app, and I'll show you that. And it has invocation content that is coming soon. So this means you should be able to see. They're telling me you'll be able to see what is being said in those chats. So admins can turn on each layer on or off depending on what they want to do, and every setting basically every setting change gets flagged to other admins. So I want to show you what this looks like. All right, so that is in the workspace. Workspace is where your actual organization or your account settings are. If you want if the compliance logs turned on, you need to let me know so that I can turn them on in your tenant. But if we go to compliance and logs under workspace, you have invocations. Remember what invocations were? These are usage details. These are, oh, look, Donald did something. Let's see what Donald did. Well, Donald used Anthropic Claude Sonnet 5 at this time, this provider, and he created a workflow. You can see I did it here. I used OpenAI. Remember when I used OpenAI? So it logs when and what is being used in your Hatz tenant. This is brand new, super cool. You can do last 7 days, custom days, 30 days, 90 days, last month, whatever. Audit events, these are anything where some API, I just, Charlie asked that question about your systems, and I talked API. But we are doing that. We've got API stuff that's Jordan created. That's API. This tells me what's being created. You can see Jordan. He's been killing it here on the API. That's his role now as automation engineer, and hopefully, we'll be doing that soon for you guys if you have questions and want to get more into AI and building AI applications, but making it that next level where you're building more code and uh, management software for yourself. But this is pretty super. This is super exciting for those who want to know what is AI being used in my tenant and who's using it, and hopefully soon how what exactly is in those chats. This is something I've not seen anywhere else. Um, so we can see, because Hats is built off of security, where they're going with this. So I guess that's all that I have today, and I'll use the whole hour for us. So hopefully you got something out of it. If you do have any questions, I don't mind staying late, but if you want to drop off after this hour, you're free to. Thank you all for coming. Hopefully I answered your questions. You're using Hats. If I didn't get your question and you don't want to stay late, if you can always email us here, you can email me, or you can email helpdesk@realitysolutions.com, and me or Jordan are going to get back with you with an answer. I know some of you have emailed us questions, and we've got back to you fairly quickly and answered those. But the whole point on us doing AI is we want to be here with you, and you can go get AI anywhere. What you can't get is help with it. And that's what we're here to help you and to be here on that sort of journey. So once again, thank you. And if you don't have any more questions, I'm going to call it a day.
I don't see any more questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much. See you next time.